to resist from the inside. That we understand that the president is unique in history in a lot of ways, and that we are just as concerned as you are. And don't worry, there is people on the inside who are resisting, who are the adults in the room, who are trying to guide things from the worst possible outcomes, and blah 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 blah. Here's what I will say to that person: I don't give a fuck. If you are truly concerned about the status of the world, are you truly concerned about what's going on, get out. Stop propping this man up by being part of his administration. Oh, but I'll just be replaced. I know, but your voice carries so much more weight outside of that organization if you're actually looking to resist it from the outside rather than propagating it from the inside and building up Trump, because all that you're doing is actually making a deal with Trump, with the Trump base, with the MAGA asshole contingent of the Republican Party, which has always existed. But Trump just gave them the voice and gave them their ethno-national sort of focus, laser focus, and he's playing to them in a way that no other Republican president or Republican politician, quite frankly, has at such a level. That whole sentence got away from me there. But my point is that these people have made a deal that they will tolerate Trump's racism. They'll tolerate his white supremacy. They'll tolerate even his incredible allegations of sexual assault and impropriety. They will tolerate all of those things for Brett Kavanaugh, for the tax cut, for packing the courts with conservative judges. They'll tolerate all of these things just so they can get a few of their pet projects pushed through. I'll tell you right now, man, if this kind of leak was happening in the Obama White House, if this kind of situation were happening where you were getting senior White House officials under the Obama administration saying we don't trust this man and we are trying to be the adults in the room, there would not be the level of quiet from politicians on the Hill about this. The nomination of a Supreme Court justice would cease. It would stop for a lot of different reasons before this op-ed even hit the cover of the New York Times. But it would stop dead in its tracks over this exact thing. Like there are just so many things that just drive me up the wall, because there I'm sure exists good people in the Republican Party that have a principled stance that I could disagree with, but still, shake their hand at the end of the day. But those people are not in power, or they're not speaking up, which is, just as troubling for me. That's all I got to say. This anonymous op-ed page guy, or woman or whatever, I doubt it's a woman. Let's be real. It's the Trump administration, where there are women, but they're just window dressing. They don't actually have any real power, with the exception of maybe Kellyanne Conway. To that person, I would say, you think that you're doing the right thing, but realistically, you're not putting out the fire. You're just not actively pouring gasoline on it. And that doesn't make you a hero. It makes you just sort of there. And that's all I got to say about that. After this little break, talk about Liverpool Football Club, talk about some wrestling, and bring it home, because it's about 11:30 here in the world where I live, and I work at 1 o'clock. So we got to get moving. So I was actually I was on the way to Cape Breton, on the way to Sydney, Cape Breton, this past weekend when when Liverpool was kicking off against Leicester City in Leicester at the King Power Stadium. Of course, friend of the show, Mitch Hall's team. Very excited to win in Leicester 2-1. It's a shame that we weren't able to keep our fourth consecutive clean sheet, but 4 wins out of 4 in the first 4 games, leaving Liverpool at the top of the table. Yeah, and you know what? Like, honest to God, like with the exception of one game, pretty much winning ugly every step of the way, which like I'm A-okay with. If it means that if winning ugly more often means the sign of a title contender, I'm there. I'm for it. I'm excited. I'm ready for being a title contender. I think that Liverpool is at the very least in these early games showing that they are in it for the title hunt. Of course, other teams. There are a couple of other teams, Chelsea and for some reason Watford, who are also currently undefeated. So Liverpool's ahead just on the strength of their +8 goal differential. What else is going on in Liverpool world? Of course, we're in right now. We're in an international break week. Unfortunately, Adam Lallana suffering a small injury setback. Hopefully not too drastic, but it is a groin pull of some description, which can be, of course, incredibly devastating to a player like Adam Lallana. Hopefully, this doesn't set him back too far. Of course, he spent most of last season in the injured reserves, so wasn't able to contribute too much to the back half of that season. Was still sort of getting up to match fitness when we had to call on him in the Champions League final. One thing that I absolutely am pretty pleased with actually is Liverpool are currently, not entirely credibly, but currently linked with a transfer of Adrien Rabiot of Paris Saint-Germain. So the French midfielder is out of contract next season, and you know, whenever that happens, sort of the question becomes of like, is he going to sign a new contract? Is he going to move on to a different club? What is the move? And like a lot of the conventional wisdom around Rabiot is that he's a sort of combative midfielder. He's the type of player who needs to sort of be in a competitive league because he needs to be in competitive battles in order to get better. One of the things that I'm particularly heartened by, though, as a Liverpool fan, is that we are linked to him, and whether or not you believe the credibility of the link is neither here nor there, but a lot of the rumbling seems to be that he prefers Liverpool over one of the larger Spanish sides. In particular, Barcelona seems to be the one that he's sort of most linked with, and he would prefer to go to Liverpool, which is, I think, you can say the Klopp effect. Certainly, he likes to bring in younger players and give them a shot. And the fact that we're playing in fantastically exciting football, we're retaining the services of players like Sadio Mane, like Mohamed Salah, like Roberto Firmino. We're bringing in players like Alisson Becker, like Naby Keita, like so many others. And then we're also, of course, bringing players like Trent Alexander-Arnold and Joe Gomez through. Just highly exciting stuff to be linked to a player, and for them to be saying, I'd rather take my talents to Liverpool. I think that's a better fit for me at this stage of my career. Liverpool is the kind of fit football that I want to play. That is always a wonderful thing to see. That's all I'm going to say about Liverpool, because of course there is no game this week with the international break. First game back is the early kickoff on Saturday, the 15th, against Spurs, which, it's the early kickoff after an international break. That's I don't know. That's gives me a sense of uneasiness. But it's the thing about this Liverpool team is like, they may make you nervous sometimes, but They'll never bore you, which is something that I absolutely love. Speaking of not being bored, that's the best transition that I could come up with. Big congratulations to the being in the elite squad on All In. So this is wrestling. We're moving on to wrestling now. And to give you a sense of what's happened here, All In was a pay-per-view that took place this past weekend on Saturday. It was, by all accounts, very well streamed and very well broadcast on pay-per-view. I personally haven't gotten the chance to watch it. I've got New Japan World, and that's where I will be taking it all in. No pun intended there, I suppose. But All In was the result of a bet between Dave Meltzer and Cody, don't call him Rhodes, and the Young Bucks, who independent stars. And Dave Meltzer said, there's no chance that stars at the ROH and New Japan level could sell out a 10,000 seat arena in North America, or in the English speaking world anyhow, because I know that they were talking about maybe going over to Dublin. Cody and the Bucks said, we'll take you up on that bet, and lo and behold, they sold out I believe it was the Allstate Arena in Chicago. Oh, no, wait, excuse me. It was the Sears Center, which is technically in Hoffman Estates, which was in a suburb from Chicago. But 10,000 seats sold, and it was a sellout. No comps, as I understand it, anyhow. And it was the first non-WWE or WCW promoted professional wrestling event in the United States to sell 10,000 tickets since 1993. Which just absolutely great news, because I think that kind of shows you that there's strength in the wrestlers themselves right now. Like that was now you could say that it was sort of like de facto the organizing sort of promotion, if you will, was the Being the Elite YouTube channel, and like Being the Elite was is the promotion in a way, because it was sort of a lot of the guys from Being the Elite, obviously the Elite themselves, the Bullet Club, Marty Scurll, Hangman Page, Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and sort of the wider Being the Elite crowd, Flip, Brandy, the SoCal Uncensored, you could certainly argue that is the case, but really this was just like a bunch of wrestlers who put on a show with their friends and with their wider sort of wrestling contacts, and it did really well. I think that says a lot for maybe this breaks a little bit of the monopoly on the power that the major wrestling institutions have. If we can actually have sort of shows that the three letters, you know what I mean? Like the WWE, the WCW, the ECW, the TNA, the whatever, isn't the important part, and instead it's the actual competitors, the actual performers. That speaks to me of a bright future, where maybe we start to see some protections for professional wrestlers, because of course they are treated like employees by the WWE or by Impact or by New Japan to a certain extent, but they are independent contractors in accordance with sort of the rules of the law, even though they are treated as employees. So they should be getting benefits, insurance, all that sort of stuff, but aren't given that because they're considered contractors. It's a funny old thing, how wrestling is treated in North America. In any case, I would personally welcome any sort of change to that particular dynamic that gives the workers a little bit more security, a little bit more health and well-being as it goes on. Anywho, that I think is a show, and you know what? I've got a whole half hour until I have to get ready for work, so that's exciting. Anyhow, this show is produced by me with music from One Place Here. You can check them out at loyaltyfreakmusic.com. Also art by Skylar Greencorn, who you can check out over at artstation.com/s